These are my top 10 sneaker pickups for 2025 so far. All right, actually it's more than 10. I couldn't pick just 10. But you guys get it, YouTube. You know, top 10 sounds better than top like 14. 14 sneakers in 6 months is ridiculous. I bought way more than that, but I've kept 14 at least. There's other pairs that I bought that I haven't even put in this video because I already had 14 or so, So this video is gonna be very unscripted. I'm just gonna be going through like all the sneakers that I picked up that I've liked. It's not really gonna be in any particular order. So I guess without further ado, let's just dive right into it. Of course, if you wanna grab any of the shoes that I talk about in today's video, I've made sure to link them all through the YouTube shopping tab if you wanna pick them up. I'm just gonna start things off with the first pair that I see, and that will be this pair right here. This is the Fuel Cell Rebel V5. So this is the follow-up to last year's Fuel Cell Rebel V4, one of the most comfortable running shoes I've ever worn. And the V5, in my opinion, is even more comfortable. Now, I was gonna do a full video on this shoe. I decided against it just because I don't know how interested you guys are in this particular shoe, so let me know in the comment section down below if a video on this sneaker is something you want. I was gonna call it, is this the new most comfortable shoe? I don't know if it is, but that was gonna be the video title. I decided honestly against it, because again, I don't know if you guys are interested in that. But with that being said, so far, my experience with this shoe has been excellent. It's very, very comfortable on foot. I've run in this shoe like once or twice so far, and it really does not disappoint. It's very springy, but it's also very well cushioned, and it's incredibly lightweight. Now, colorway-wise, not a huge fan of this colorway. It's not bad. I think I might like it better than the V4's initial colorway, that sort of like neon green orange one, but it's a little bright. And I know a lot of these shoes are bright as well, but it's not like a lifestyle kind of casual wear bright. It's more of like this is a running shoe bright. It's like a see me at night kind of bright. Which is fine, but hey, you know, it's the launch colorway of the shoe, I had to grab it. And it really is in the running for one of the most comfortable shoes of the year. Probably not number one, although, I mean, it's up there. If you already have the V4, honestly, this is a pretty similar experience, but I think it's a bit more well cushioned. That's my biggest takeaway from this shoe. It might be a tad bit narrower, but not by that much. So also there's more traction if you were looking for traction on these shoes, especially if you're running in sort of wetter conditions. So there are like minor improvements, but it's not like a huge night and day difference from the V4. It's incredible. New Balance just consistently kills it with their Rebel line. It's awesome. Next up, we've got a pair of shoes that at the time of me filming this video, it has not yet released yet, but at the time that you're watching this video, it's been out for like a week and a half. We've got the Air Jordan 5 Grape. This shoe might be my favorite pair of Air Jordan 5s, at least my favorite OG colorway. Then again, it's tough because there's another pair of 5s on this list, which I might like better. I probably should have put these in some order because now that I haven't, like I feel like, although I think I like this shoe better than the metallic 5s, you know the metallic 5s are coming and it seems like I like them better just because they're higher on the list, but the list, again, the order doesn't matter. So the Grape 5s are probably tied or one of my, or the favorite Air Jordan 5 colorway. I just love this sort of 90s vibe. This was a wild colorway even at the time that this shoe released because it didn't line up with Michael Jordan's jersey. It does kind of match with the Hornets a little bit, but he didn't own the Hornets at the time that this shoe came out. This was just purely a lifestyle inspired 90s looking sneaker. So it's got amazing purples on there. You've got this really nice, decent leather on the upper, at least from what I can tell. You got the Nike Air on the back. This colorway hasn't dropped in a long time, so I'm really excited that it's back, and it's back with laces. The last one that dropped was the Bel Air colorway, and that one didn't have laces because that's how Will Smith wore them in the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, and that was fine, but you couldn't even put laces in if you wanted to because they actually covered up all the lace holes. So, you know, it's nice to have a pair that actually can be worn with laces. We actually just dropped, well, not just dropped now, about a week ago. Apothecary, my sock brand, dropped socks that match the shoe perfectly, and a couple other shoes like the Union LA Air Jordan 1s, Black Cement 3 socks. Oh, and we also dropped UNC Reimagine socks, which are really cool. So check all those socks out, linked in the description below. Really great pair of socks that go great with this pair of sneakers. But shoot, 2025 seems like the year of the Air Jordan 5, so it's really great to get this shoe back. I love the icy outsole, and is a pair that I plan to rock a bunch. After that, we've got a surprise hit, at least for me, and that is the Nike Pegasus Premium. I never expected to like this shoe as much as I do. I mean, everything about this shoe is interesting and different. As you can tell, I've worn this shoe a bunch. I really need to clean it up with some Apothecary sneaker wipes. I also never did a full review on this shoe, which is kind of a bummer because I feel like it would have been a good shoe to review because there's so much to talk about. So maybe I will in the future. Let me know in the comments if you guys want to see that. I know it's months late. Months late to the game, but either way, man, you've got 3 different cushioning setups. You've got ZoomX on the top, which is incredibly soft. That's like their racing foam. It's very lightweight, very squishy. You've got a full-length Air Zoom unit, or I guess almost full length. It doesn't go all the way to the tip of the toe, which adds a nice, like, stiffer bit of cushion, more bounce. And then on the bottom, you've got ReactX, which is a stiffer foam than the ZoomX, but it's also softer than the Air Zoom, so it gives this shoe a really wild, unique sort of feel. And when you really put pressure on the heel, you activate all the different units, and you get this like crazy, unique, like bouncy, soft ride. It's obviously not gonna be as incredibly cushioned as something like the Rebel V5 that we talked about, or even some of Nike's other fully Zoom X sneakers, but it's a really wild experience. The price point sucks at 210 bucks, I'm not gonna lie, and it sells out a lot, so it's actually hard to find these. But dude, when you can grab a pair, they're worth it. Like, I paid resale for this. I think I paid like $350 for this shoe, which is ridiculous for a pair of Nike running sneakers. I wish I hadn't beat it up as much as I did, but it's been a go-to for me, like genuinely a go-to. I kind of beat this shoe. There's like scuffs and dirt and cracks and creases. The outsole is worn. It's just a fire pair of shoes, man. After that, we got a pair of shoes that everyone loves, everyone's excited about, and that of course is the recently released white cement Air Jordan 4s. This shoe last released back in 2016. It's been that long, and the shape of this pair has actually been adjusted to more closely match the original shoe. Now in my review, I said it looks very similar to the 2016 release, and I still think that. I don't know why there were so many comments of people being like, you're an idiot, you don't know what you're talking about. It looks like the 2016 pair. It's real close. I had both of them side by side. They're very, very close. There are some minor changes, like the mudguard and the shape of the toe. There's like a couple other small changes, but generally, this is very, very similar to the 2016 pair, which was already pretty close to the original pair. I think I said something like Jordan Brand always says that they're getting closer to the original, and they do always say that. And I mean, to be fair, this still doesn't look exactly like the original, so I don't take back anything that I said in that review. However, I was very surprised how angry people got, but I guess people get mad about sneakers. You saw that with the Shattered Backboard review. Check it out if you haven't seen it. But either way, this shoe is incredible. I have 2 pairs of these. It's the only shoe of the entire year, other than 2 shoes I'm gonna talk about, that I've doubled up on. This pair I bought for like $400 pre-drop because I was doing a review on it. Then I bought a second pair for retail, so I've really spent like $600 on 2 pairs. And I bought my family full family sizing, so I'm close to it. I'm batting almost $1,000 on white cement 4s this year. I can't believe I just told you guys that. Whatever. Regardless, you guys understand why. It's an OG Air Jordan 4 colorway. This is probably my favorite Air Jordan 4 OG colorway out there. It's so wearable. The gray with the splatter print is sick. You've got the Nike Air branding. You've got the white leather, which feels decent. It's a little bit stiffer, but I think there's a whole leather discussion to be had, and maybe we should really dive into that in a video in the future about the different leather qualities and things like that. The Air Jordan 4 white cement, not sneaker of the year, but definitely one of the best retros of the year. Speaking of retros, one of my grail sneakers actually retroed for the first time this year, and that's the Nike Air Foamposite Galaxy. This shoe truly was my grail sneaker for a very long time. Galaxy Foamposites were one of those shoes that they just seemed unattainable, and I wasn't gonna spend like, well, definitely not before I did YouTube. I wasn't gonna spend like $1,200 or $2,000 on a pair of foams. Although I did consider it, I wasn't gonna do it. Even when I started the YouTube channel, it just didn't make sense for me to buy this shoe. So when they finally re-released, I was able to get a pair. Shout out to Takeout NY for honestly gifting me this pair. I really appreciate it. And it's been one of my not most worn pairs of the year, although when I got it, I wore it for like 3 weeks straight. But it is a pair that I've worn a lot, and I plan to continue wearing. The Galaxy Foamposite is just that Foamposite. Like, it's my favorite pair of Foamposites. It's the Galaxies, then it's the Supremes, then maybe it's the Coppers. Realistically, the Paranormans are up there, but I'm never gonna get a pair of Paranormans, although I would like a pair of Paranormans. That being said, the Galaxies have a beautiful Galaxy print. They're surprisingly comfortable for a shoe that has no breathability whatsoever. They kind of mold to your foot, kind of like Birkenstocks do the more that you wear them. So it's one of those shoes that, it's an eye-catching sneaker. But either way, the Galaxy Foamposites are an incredible pair of sneakers if you're a Foamposite fan. Even with people not being as into Foamposites as they once were, Nike's trying to push them back out. They're not hitting like they used to, but even still, the Galaxy Foamposite sold out. I don't think it was incredibly limited, but it was limited, and it's got a glow-in-the-dark outsole, so if you're a kid at heart still, I mean, glowing outsoles really, they get you excited. Really quick, I'm actually giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 Mario Kart bundle. If you guys want a chance to win this incredible bundle for yourself, I've been playing Mario Kart World like a fiend. It's crazy, it's a great game. Make sure to check out my tech channel, which is linked in the description below. I'm doing the giveaway through Core, as I usually do giveaways, because I feel like it's the fairest way to do it. All you need to do is get the 3 Core badges that are in those videos. Again, they're all linked in the description below. Subscribe to the tech channel, and then you're good to go. The winner will be picked at the end of the month, and then I'll announce it on this channel and that channel, so you guys will know if you won or not, and good luck to you if you enter. Following that up, we've got another pair of shoes. Again, this list is in no particular order, that I actually just recently picked up. This is the New Balance 2000. Well, I guess officially it's the New Balance Absorb 2000, and as you can see, I've been rocking this shoe pretty much every day since I've gotten it. So this sneaker is one of New Balance's latest lifestyle models. Like, this is the first colorway to ever release, and it released by the time you're watching this video 2 weeks ago, and immediately sold out, and I completely understand why. This sneaker is fire. First of all, you've got this 2000s runner inspired upper, and then you've got this midsole, which takes one of their, I wouldn't say legacy cushions, although it kind of is, Absorb SBS, and like drops a bunch of pods of it all the way through the midsole of the sneaker. If you're familiar with New Balance at all, you probably recognize nice Absorb SBS. It's kind of like this gel and I think gel and foam combo, which you usually see on the back of New Balance sneakers. However, with this shoe, they decided to put it all the way through the bottom of the sneaker and give it a very cool, unique sort of almost Vapor Max, almost Shox look. They did everything right with this shoe. I think the upper looks beautiful. The midsole is unique and different. Now, comfort-wise, unfortunately, this shoe is not gonna blow you away. Like Absorb SBS is fine. It's not gonna feel really any softer than like a standard pair of New Balances or a standard pair of Asics. Genuinely, it just kind of feels like a regular EVA foam style cushion, and that might not be what you want to hear, but that's what I've experienced. It's not like a mind-blowing cushion underneath your foot. Generally, this shoe is just an average comfort shoe, but I'm fine with that. And I think for a lot of people, the reason they're buying the shoe is because of how it looks. And that's also why the shoe is on the list. There's probably a bit of recency bias, like this shoe might not have been on the list if I bought it 6 months ago, but because I just bought it 2 weeks ago and I'm still excited about it, it did make the list. And it is truly a pair of sneakers that I think New Balance is gonna run into the ground because they're gonna make a ton of different colorways. It's gonna be very popular for a bit, and then like in a year or two, no one's gonna care anymore. Actually, before I forget, pricing on this shoe wasn't bad either. It's like 160 bucks, which is really not bad. Following that up, we've got one of the most hyped up pairs of sneakers of 2025. However, since it's released, it's not as hyped as it used to be. And that, of course, is the Union LA Air Jordan 1 Chicago Shadow. This shoe was incredibly hyped because the first Union LA Air Jordan 1s that released were some of the best collaborations, in my opinion, of all time. And this shoe is literally just a different colorway of those shoes, which is wild that it took 7 years for this to come out. Those released in 2018, this released in 2025, and in between we had a bunch of somewhat forgettable Union LA collaborations. I don't know, man. It's crazy that it took them this long, but either way, I'm happy that it's here. And now that it's here, the hype's died. You can grab a pair of these for like $270, $300, which by the way, again, if you guys want to grab this pair for yourself, grab it through the YouTube shopping tab on your screen. But even with the hype dying out on this sneaker, I still think it's one of the best releases of the year. It's not really anything that different or that new because we've seen it before. We've seen it, a couple different times. But I do think that it's the follow-up to the Union LA Air Jordan 1s that we always wanted. And now that we finally have it, I'm really happy that it's here. I'm also really into the colorways that they picked to create this shoe. You've got the Chicago on the bottom, you've got the Shadow ones on the top, you've got these awesome yellow laces. It comes with a couple different lace options like black, cream, and I think yellow. Was there a blue one? I don't remember. But the yellow, in my opinion, was the way to go. It sort of ties in with the yellow edges on the leather, which I think is really cool to add that detail. You've also got this really nice hit of blue around the, I guess the ankle area of the shoes, stitching the Chicagos to the Shadows. I love that little hit. I think it's so sick. Yeah, man, it's a fire pair of shoes. I think they absolutely knocked this shoe out of the park. And of course, if you want to grab socks to match this shoe, they're also available on apothecary.com. In terms of where this shoe ranks with the other Union LA Air Jordan 1s, for me, it's like the Beffy's Beauty Supply, which is still a great shoe. I think that shoe deserves way more hype than it got. It's these, then it's probably the, I guess the Black Toes and then the Storm Blues. So it's number 3, but it's still a very strong number 3. Actually, let me know your Union LA Air Jordan 1 ranking in the comment section down below. I'd love to know which one is your favorite. After that, we've got an absolute banger with one of the most popular sneakers of the entire year, the Air Jordan 5 Metallic Reimagine. It's crazy to me how popular this sneaker has become. I did not think that the Reimagine 5s would be as hyped up as they are. I mean, the resale price on this shoe just keeps going up and up and up to a point where I'm like, when is this gonna stop? It's getting expensive. I'm really glad that I grabbed this shoe when I did, is all I'm gonna say. Like, I grabbed it for probably more than I should have at the time. I think it was like $300 or $350, and now that seems like not a bad price. But either way, I think this is one of the best reimagined Air Jordans to drop. I think this shoe is just such a nice, subtle adjustment on the original. First of all, you've got these sort of reflective hits around the paneling on the upper. You've got this like reflective piping, I think, or I guess painted details. I'm not totally sure. The shoe comes laced with white laces because Michael Jordan wore the shoe with white laces, which is a cool touch. The original shoe came with black laces. You've got this reflective detail on the back, the Nike Air branding, which is actually not stitched. It's this like TPU piece that's kind of pressed into the heel. There wasn't like too much else done to this sneaker, at least from what I remember, that makes it a reimagined shoe. It's like those details in particular, but that's what I like about it. They didn't try to overdo it. Like the Bred 4s, I really love the leather on that shoe, but in my head, it's still not like really a Bred 4. You know what I mean? It's like it's an almost Bred 4. This shoe is still very much an Air Jordan 5 Metallic because it still features that same material on the upper that you've always had. Yes, there are some silvery details, but they don't really take away from the shoe, and they actually give this shoe a cool like aged look, or I guess retro look, because the edges of the leather almost look white from a distance, so it really calls out the different paneling on the upper of the shoe, which I think is sick. Of course, you got the reflective tongue. The reason that the shoe has so many reflective details is because the Air Jordan 5 was the first Air Jordan sneaker to feature reflective hits, so they added even more on this shoe. But yeah, a pair that I guess I haven't worn much this year yet. I don't know why. I really should rock this shoe more. It's fire. Kind of flying under the radar, we've got the Staple Pigeon Brooks Adrenaline GTS. This is a collaboration which I think could be the first official like full lifestyle Brooks collab. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure this is one of the first Brooks collaborations, and Jeff Staple killed it. Like, this is one of the best collaborations of the entire year. I'm not even joking. Like, genuinely, this collab is sick. So the Brooks Adrenaline GTS is, I believe, a running sneaker that in this case has been adapted to become a lifestyle shoe. It features a lot of wild paneling on the upper, so presumably it's from the 2000s would be my guess, maybe the mid 2000s or even the early 2010s. The upper of the shoe comes with this really nice gray mesh. You've got black suede paneling, you've got this really nice cream leather paneling, and then of course some reflective details. And then you've got the staple logo on this little reflective hit right there, which is really cool. Now, of course, the shoe also features some beautiful red hits, both on the red Brooks logo on the staple down the center of the tongue. The insole, you've got the staple pigeon on the insole too, and of course the red outsole. It's a very, very subtle, but super, super clean collaboration. Genuinely, like, this shoe is fire. Obviously, the original staple pigeon dunks were one of the most sought after Nike dunks of all time, probably sought after sneakers of all time, still is, and had truly the most wild sneaker release of all time. Like, newspapers wrote about it, it was crazy. But that being said, he nailed it with this. This shoe is absolutely fire. Let's continue on with another pretty great collaboration, and that of course is the Nike SB Air Jordan 4. This is the navy colorway that just launched. This shoe is absolutely fire. Now, this shoe is a follow-up, as you know, to the original Nike SB Air Jordan 4 that released back in 2023. That was a pine green colorway. It came with sort of a cream leather upper and a pine green accent, or I guess multiple pine green accents throughout. Now, obviously, because the shoe is skateboarding focused, they removed the air unit in the forefoot for more skateboard feel or board feel, and then they added these sort of rubbery accents around the shoe, which are supposed to be more durable. And also the suede around the toe, apparently thicker and more durable. Now, from what I've seen of people who skateboarded in this shoe, or from what I've heard from people who've skateboarded in this shoe, it's not like a great skate shoe, but the concept is there, and that's all that really matters. This is another shoe that I'm not sure if it's really recency bias or I just like the color better, but the more that I've worn this shoe, the more that I've been like, I think I might like the navy better than the original. I don't know if it's just more laid back. I don't know, again, if it's because it's a newer shoe. I don't know why, but there's something about this shoe that I just find myself throwing this on way more than the pine greens. And it's crazy to me that the resale price of this shoe is dropping as much as it has. I think it's almost around retail in certain sizes. I think this shoe, at least in my size, is like $250, $270. Retail was like $220. It's a great shoe. Now is a great time to buy it because I think the price will just go up over time. Although the pine greens did drop in price too. The pine greens are now around like $350. Crazy shoe. The gum outsole just hits and just ties in so nicely with the blue upper and the gray accents and the red Jumpman. And then of course you've got the Nike SB branding on the heel, which just sets this shoe off. And I think this shoe is crazy enough to say crazy like 5 or 6 times, which is more than I usually say it, because I usually say it like 2 or 3 times for a shoe, but this shoe gets 5 or 6 crazies. So these next 2 shoes kind of put me in a dilemma, because I feel like the sneaker of the year conversation comes down to these 2 pairs, at least for me. For a lot of people, it's probably pretty clear cut, but for me, it's tough. So I'm gonna tell you guys what the 2 shoes are and kind of go through them and tell you guys why I like them as much as I do. The first, of course, is the Nigel Sylvester Air Jordan 4 brick by brick. There's a lot to love about this shoe. First of all, I think this is Nigel Sylvester's best collaboration that he's ever done. The concept of the shoe itself is really cool, and it's sort of a double entendre style concept. First of all, brick by brick, the colorway is inspired by bricks, and the reason the colorway is bricks is because he grew up in New York and he was surrounded by red bricks, but also the phrase brick by brick means to do something methodically and well over time. So that's how he created his career and his life, was brick by brick, which I really appreciate and I really I look up to. I think Nigel Sylvester is just killing it, and he did it the right way. So this shoe has a great concept behind it. I love how deep the concept is versus some other collaborations, and the makeup of the shoe is fire. So because the shoe is for Nigel Sylvester, who rides BMX, this shoe features some details to make it more durable. Like the mudguard of the shoe obviously has a brick texture, but also it seems like whatever they painted it with or covered it with, it makes it more durable for BMX riding. You've got the little mini Nike swoosh there towards the toe, which Nigel Sylvester does on a pretty regular basis. You've got a reflective detail underneath the netting on this shoe, which is great for riding your bike at night. You got bike air on the heel, which I just love. That's such a cool touch. And of course, the color blocking on this shoe, it's almost too much red or too much orangey red, but because of that little subtle sail hit on the midsole, it really adds just enough contrast to make this shoe interesting. And of course, when you add the white laces on the shoe, in my opinion, that's what really sets it off, because you've got enough white hits to kind of separate all the reddish orange hits to make it a very, very unique looking and also incredibly clean pair of Air Jordan 4s. Material wise, it seems great. You've got like this beautiful nubuck all over the upper of the shoe. Again, it's not like as nice as a designer nubuck, but it's still very, very nice for an Air Jordan sneaker. This is just one of those shoes that when you throw it on, you feel great. And that's the whole reason you buy sneakers, is to feel a certain type of way. And this shoe makes me feel that type of way, more so than a lot of the other shoes that I talked about. This shoe, like, it's just so cool. Like I was saying before, this shoe is firmly in contention for sneaker of the year. Like, I would say this shoe for me is like, this shoe is the LeBron of 2025. I think it's a shoe that all the people who are into sneakers currently will like better because it's the more recent release and because it's a really great collaboration. But the shoe I'm about to talk about is an OG, and I still think it's the greatest sneaker of all time. So you guys probably already know what it is just from me saying that. Of course, if you couldn't guess, that shoe is the Air Jordan 1 Bred 85. As you guys probably know, the Bred Jordan 1 is my favorite sneaker of all time. So an 85 cut of that shoe, this is a dream come true. And what's wild is that when you compare it to an actual 1985 Air Jordan 1 Bread, they're very, very similar. Obviously, there are some slight differences. The color is a little bit different. Maybe it's because this one's a little bit older. And there are some like very minor cut differences, but it's surprisingly similar. They did a really, really good job on this pair of 85s. And I think they actually redesigned the 85 a little bit for this shoe in particular versus some of the older 85s, which is crazy to say older 85s. They started releasing 85s back in 2020. So there's like a 2020 85 and then a 2025 85, and you've got the actual 85, a lot of 85s. In my opinion, I think this is the best retro of the Air Jordan 1 Bread of all time. Truly. Like the leather on this shoe is actually really, really nice. It's very thick like we talked about, and it does feel significantly more premium than like standard Air Jordan leather. Now it's not gonna be soft, but it does feel really, really premium. It creases really nicely and it ages really well. Like this leather, also like look at the scuff on the back. I got this big cut in the back of the shoe from when I was in Saudi Arabia. Like you can actually see some of the really nice, like I don't know if it's grain or just like the leather underneath the painted detail, and it looks really, really good. I mean, it sucks to have to look at some leather through a scuff, but even the way it scuffs is really nice. Like it looks good, even with that scuff. This shoe is just the best retro of the Bread ones. I'm standing on that. I think that's just the straight up truth. And although yes, it's not as comfortable as some of the other Bread ones, it's a pretty stiff upper, although the more you wear it, the more you get used to it. And the midsole, I mean, just like every other Jordan 1, is not super great in terms of comfort, but the looks, man, it's hard to beat. It's up in like my top 4 most worn sneakers of the year. Probably my favorite sneaker to release this year, at least in terms of retros. It definitely is my favorite retro to release this year. I think in terms of sneaker of the year contention, it's a tough race. I think for me, it's like, do I go with my favorite sneaker of all time, my favorite retro of my favorite sneaker of all time, or do I go with just one of the best collaborations of the year? I don't know, it's tough. It's tough. Let me know in the comment section down below which one you think deserves to get sneaker of the year. I have a feeling I know which one you guys are gonna pick. All right, so number 1 is a pair of shoes that you guys may or may not have expected. It's not a shoe that I've gone over. You guys might have thought that the Bread ones would be number 1 for me. And again, this list is not really in order, although the last 2 did kind of seem like they were towards the top of the list. This pair is at the top of the list because it's my shoe. And that shoe is the upcoming Apothecary Zeerfeld Mule. So my brand Apothecary teamed up with Zeerfeld to manufacture our own 3D printed mule, which for me is like one of the craziest things ever. Not just because it's my own shoe. I've made shoes in the past, but the reason this shoe is so crazy is because it's 3D printed. And if you guys have been watching my channel, in 2022, I went on like this crazy 3D printing binge, probably to an unhealthy degree. I think I have like 14 or 15 3D printers right now. And I just was 3D printing every day. But story goes, I did a video about the Zeerfeld 3D printed Heron Preston shoe, and Zeerfeld reached out and was like, yo, thank you so much for doing the review. Would you like to do a shoe with us eventually? It wasn't exactly that. Like it came to that after, you know, talking back and forth for a while. And I was like, sure. And then for about a year and a half, I just kind of lollygagged. I didn't do anything. And then I talked to Osman, the co-founder of Apothecary, and I was like, yo, should we do an Apothecary shoe? And we decided to go for it. And what was cool is around the time that we started designing this shoe, like Nike had just released the Air Max 1000, or was going to release the Air Max 1000. I think they had announced it. And so we knew that Nike was doing a shoe, which for us was like, oh my gosh, we're doing a shoe with the same company that did a Nike shoe. And then while we were designing this shoe, Jeff Staple dropped a shoe, Sean Witherspoon dropped a shoe, Justin Bieber, I think they're dropping a Zeerfeld. It hasn't been officially confirmed. For us, the opportunity to drop a Zeerfeld was just incredible. So I'm gonna drop like a whole, probably like 30-minute docu-style video or vlog on the whole process of creating this. I was gonna do a series, but I dropped the first video and no one seemed to care, so I'm just gonna do one big video so you guys can see it all at once. And this shoe should drop probably in July or August, depending on when we get sort of the back end stuff figured out. But either way, this is it. This is the Apothecary Zeerfeld Mule, or I guess it's just the Apothecary Mule. It's manufactured by Zeerfeld. Now this is just a V2 sample, so some things might change slightly, like the Apothecary logo across the front might change to the back, which is where we had it originally, but we moved it for different reasons. And what's cool about this shoe is it can come in a bunch of different colorways. Like you've got black, we've got blue, we've got cream. There can be a red one. I haven't seen a red one yet, but there can be a red one if you want to pick red as your color. There's orange, but any color that Zeerfeld manufactures, you can buy this mule in, which is really cool. And what's even cooler is that this shoe is actually 3D printed for your foot. So when you buy this shoe on Zeerfeld's website, if you're not buying a pre-made one, like at a launch event or something like that, you take a picture of your foot next to a piece of paper, they scan it, and then they create a shoe that like literally matches your foot exactly. They don't even ask your shoe size. At least they didn't ask my shoe size. And I got one that fit perfectly. So that's very, very cool. So you will literally get a 3D printed shoe in your size to match your foot. It does take about a month and a half, 2 months to get them because they're custom printing it for you, but I totally think it's worth it. And what's cool about this shoe, besides just, you know, everything I just talked about, is that it doesn't feel like a 3D printed shoe. If you've never tried a Zeerfeld shoe, it's like a whole new experience. So all these areas that look like checkerboards are actually like this crazy, almost foam feeling material. It's made of plastic, but it doesn't feel like plastic. It feels like actual foam, which is nuts. And then you put it on your feet, and you're like, how does it feel like that? Like, how does it feel crazy soft? Like, this is as soft as, well, the top layer at least is as soft as, I'm gonna say like React, which might be crazy to say, but I really feel like that. Hopefully when you guys get the shoe in hand, or if you have other Zeerfeld shoes, let me know in the comment section down below if you agree. But either way, the entire shoe is printed out of the exact same material, so it all looks really cohesive, but because of the different infill percentages and the different, I guess, printing patterns, you can completely change the feel. So like the midsole of the shoe feels stiff, not like in a bad stiff, but like significantly stiffer than this sort of foamy area. And then this upper part feels soft, like kind of pillowy, which is crazy. So we wanted to create a Mule because as a sock company, we're all about cozy vibes and comfort, and this shoe definitely embodies that. So we spent a lot of time designing it, and I think it came out great. So shout out to everyone over at Zeerfeld who made this happen. Shout out to Cornelius, and this shoe will be coming soon, so stay tuned for that. But that is pretty much all of my favorite pickups of 2025. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. Let me know in the comment section down below which one of these shoes you like the best. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'm also giving away a Nintendo Switch on my tech channel, so please check that out. That's linked in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.